Architecture and music are all around us, so much so that they are often invisible. Architecture is often referred to as frozen music, and the link between them has long been recognized. In terms of form, structure, proportion, and acoustic properties. Equally important in both arts, though, is mood. How does a song make us feel? How does a building make us feel? I'm Seth Boustead, and this is Songs About Buildings and Moods.
Having grown up near St. Louis and marveled at the Arch as a child, I've always been fascinated with Eero Saarinen, so I was thrilled to hear that his iconic TWA Flight Center would be reopening as a hotel. Little did I know, I would be among the first people to see the completed space when it opened in 2019. That's because Access Contemporary Music was asked to commission music from 4 composers to be performed live in the space as part of the Open House New York Gala that year. Fast forward a couple years later, and I knew we had to include TWA in the Songs About Buildings and Moods series. What the creative team did with this space is nothing short of magical. Jamie Zanzinger of MCR Hotels tells us more.
The creative department at MCR oversaw all of the marketing, the decor, the design, the museum exhibits for the opening of the TWA Hotel. So we handled finding and archiving 3,000 TWA artifacts and made them into museum exhibits, working with the New York Historical Society. We helped restore the 1958 Lockheed Constellation Connie airplane out on the tarmac, and really dove into the history of TWA to make sure that that was infused in everything that we did. We did so much research on TWA. I think we read everything that was ever published about TWA. We actually went to the archives of TWA out in Kansas City, Missouri, and visited the TWA Museum, where we have a great relationship. And we sorted through boxes and boxes of materials to find photos, tons of information. And I actually attended the annual convention of the TWA Silver Wings, which are flight attendants, an alumni group, and interviewed hundreds of women at the alumni organization about their experiences, particularly at the TWA Flight Center. The TWA Flight Center is probably one of the most significant examples of mid-century modern architecture in the world. And when it opened in 1962, no one had ever seen a building quite like this. It is completely columnless. There are no right angles in the entire building. The concrete roof was poured over 128 hours continuously during a hurricane. And so when people walked in, it is just a marvel. So I think in 1962, at that time, it was the birth of the jet age, and there was a sense that anything was possible. And that is so much true in this building. 1962 is the period of significance for the TWA Flight Center. It's a landmark, and so when the design teams got together and decided how to proceed with this amazing, massive restoration, that period of significance from 1962 to 1968 was always at the forefront. It informed every choice that they made. And I think that they kept on asking themselves, what would Eero Saarinen do? How would he make these changes? And they really wanted to be true to his aesthetic, which unfortunately he never even got to see because he passed away before 1962 when it opened. So the design choices that were made were to bring back the TWA Flight Center to its 1962 glory. Portions of the terminal that had been added after 1968 were removed, and those areas were where the hotel buildings, 7-story buildings, were added to reflect and defer to the TWA Flight Center. The Flight Center was always meant to be the star of the project, the celebrity, and everything that we did needed to be in the background. We have a lot of people who visit the hotel that were not born in 1962. They don't know what the 60s were like, and so our goal is to bring them back to that time, to show them the magic of a period it was Camelot. Anything could happen, and anything felt possible. Jets were flying faster and farther than ever before, and people were taking to the skies. Flight travel was glamorous back then, if you can believe it, unlike today. You know, designers like Balmain and Pucci were doing the wardrobes for the flight crews. Chateaubriand was served in flight. And we want people to walk into this building and get rewound to that time period.